Welcome to today's episode of the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jeni, and today we're talking about Halloweentown.
Yay! If you guys want to watch Halloweentown, you can watch it right now on Disney+. What did you think?
It was so fun to watch this movie again. This was one of my favorites growing up. How about you?
It was my all-time favorite Halloween movie, and I would have still said that it was, except for now I think I like Hocus Pocus better.
No.
Yeah.
Stop.
I know.
Literally in our last episode, you were like, I love Halloweentown.
I know, but I was just watching Halloweentown again, and I love it, but it's just so kiddie, which is why it's cute and nostalgic, and I like it. But I think that the fact that I hadn't really seen Hocus Pocus until now that one is like my adult Halloween movie, you know?
Yeah, like Hocus Pocus held up for you seeing it in 2023. But if you had jumped into Halloweentown having never seen it as an adult, you think it would have been a little too kiddie.
Definitely. Which I think partially, and we'll get into this, is just like the effects and the costumes and stuff were just like kind of cringe. I loved it, but it was definitely like lower budget.
Were they different than what you remembered as a kid? Did you remember things being scarier or more well done?
I remember it being a little bit scarier, but I think it just like appealed to my, just like I loved seeing like the town. There's something about any movie or TV show that has an adorable town in the fall that just like gets me. And I loved that as a kid. And I think I didn't see Hocus Pocus, or it was too scary for me to like finish as a kid. And so this was just like my go-to. Okay, so a little update on our review challenge. Thank you guys for rating and reviewing the show. We have a movie recommendation.
UK Hoffer said, "This is a fun podcast to listen to, especially for an elder millennial like me. It's interesting to hear younger perspectives on familiar art. It's got an easygoing vibe, and the hosts often include interesting tidbits about the making of the film. Highly recommend, especially for cool moms. I'm not a regular mom, to listen to." First off, thank you. This is so cute. Love your review. This made me think that you like Mean Girls.
For sure.
And you called old movies familiar art, so I think you're an artsy, kind of nostalgic person who appreciates the aesthetics of movies. So the Halloween movie that I think matches your vibe is The Craft. You may have seen it. It's from 1996. It is basically Mean Girls meets witches. It's kind of spooky, so don't watch it with your kids, but I think it's got the aesthetics and the vibe that you might be looking for.
So if you also want us to find the Halloween fall movie that fits your vibe, please leave us a 5-star review, and we will use your username and your little icon photo to come up with what movie or TV show we think matches you. And once you leave a review, if you just want to take a screenshot of it and message it to us on Instagram at whatwe'rewatchingpod, we'll get right on it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so as always, I'm going to read a little synopsis for Halloweentown. When a 13-year-old girl learns that she is a witch, she must help her witch grandmother save Halloweentown, a magical place where ghosts, ghouls, witches, and werewolves live apart from the human world from evil forces.
This movie was originally greenlit as a 6-movie deal for NBC, which is so interesting to me.
That's a lot of movies.
Yes. And it was going to be on the 9 p.m. time slot. So originally this idea was a lot more adult. It was going to appeal to adults who would watch this at 9 p.m.
Interesting.
And the idea was from producer Steve White when his daughter asked, "Dad, where do all the creatures from Halloween go for the rest of the year when it's not October 31st? Which is a very great question.
Very good question.
And so he came up with Halloweentown. He got Paul Birnbaum to write the script. And Paul actually named the characters after his own kids, Marnie, Sophie, and Dylan.
Aww,
yeah.
That's sweet.
So cute. NBC passed on the project after the script was written, and so then they brought it to Disney. And Disney originally passed on it too, until their movie Under Wraps did really well. And that was a Halloween Disney Channel original movie, one of the first ones, and definitely the first successful one that they did.
Wow, that's like such a crazy background to get greenlit, and I'm sure this happens all the time, but to get greenlit for such a big series and then do all the work to write the script and then get passed and then get passed again to then get made, but as a completely different concept that's for much younger children, is a roller coaster.
I have to say, though, I would love an adult Halloweentown.
Me too.
You were talking about how it's a little too kiddie for you now when you revisit it, but can you imagine the same concept, but it's darker and it's a little scarier? I want that.
I want that too.
Let's write it.
I was thinking of, yes. I was thinking of that as I was watching it. I was like, I want HBO to do this the way that they're doing the like Harry Potter series, like how they're going to make it into a show and they're going to get more detailed. And I just trust HBO with shows like, you know, Game of Thrones, Euphoria. Like I just think they do a good job in the fantasy young adult zone. So I think they would crush this. I would love it. Or even just a movie that was darker, I think would be great.
Yeah, I don't want the CW to do it. I want HBO.
Yes. Also, I wonder if greenlighting movies as large series is normal, like the way that this was greenlit for 6 movies. Because I know at least when actors sign on for TV shows, they sign on for 7 seasons, at least traditionally for network TV, even if the show doesn't make it. And so that's why I think at first, when movies were really where actors wanted to be, TV was kind of seen as the second tier. And people were nervous to jump to TV or to get tied to TV because if you signed on for like the pilot, you were signing on for 7 seasons, which is like a decade almost of making shows. So I wonder if it's normal to like sign on to do a lot of movies and then they just see how it does, but they at least have everybody contracted so that if it does do really well, they have the option.
Yeah, just to see if it has legs.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know though.
I don't know. It doesn't seem normal to me, but
yeah,
would be interesting to find out.
Something else that's interesting about this movie is the budget originally was going to be $20 to $30 million.
Wow.
And it was cut to 4. And so I think you kind of see this, and I was trying to tell if this was the budget or if this was just the time that the movie was made. Because, like, there's no CGI, and the costumes are not awesome, and, like, a lot of it is a little bit corny. And that could just be a factor of it being a Disney Channel original movie from the early 2000s, you know? But then reading this about the budget, I was like, oh, I wonder if they also made some cuts to make things a little bit simpler because of that. Like, I know that they doubled up on extras. They had the exact number of extras where they would dress everybody up as monsters and then change them and then film them again as different monsters walking around the town to make the town look more populated.
That's so funny. Actually, at the end of the movie, I noticed when all of the creatures of Halloweentown are waving goodbye to the school bus as it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in the back who are just wearing normal clothes, no masks. They just look like they were the crew.
I didn't notice that.
So funny.
Interesting.
And I'm sure that they made a lot of creative choices to try and get the shots that they needed because they didn't have the budget to do anything crazy.
For sure.
This was filmed in St. Helens, Oregon. It was actually filmed in the middle of summer, so they were really hot in all of their costumes.
Oof. God, I'm just imagining being in one of those goblin masks when it's like
Absolutely
95
not.
degrees. No.
And every October, they do their month-long Spirit of Halloweentown festival. They've been doing it since the movie came out. They put the big jack-o'-lantern in the middle of the town square.
Cute.
And you can go visit.
I want to go.
Me too.
That's so fun. I hate that it's called Spirit of Halloweentown because that just makes me think of Spirit Halloween store.
Yes. And I guess they've been doing it since the movie came out. They did it to celebrate the movie coming out. And then there have been a couple years they haven't done it because of budget, but it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
And also, we know St. Helens, Oregon, because some parts of Twilight were filmed here.
Wow. A little filming hotspot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to talk about the cast?
Kimberly J. Brown plays the lead, Marnie Piper. She was only 13 when she filmed this.
Wow.
Crazy.
She did such a good job. I love her as Marnie.
Yeah, I guess when she was auditioning, she was not who they were picturing. They had already gotten Debbie Reynolds to play her grandma and Judith Hoag to play her mom, and so they were expecting someone who had blonde hair maybe.
Mm.
But Kimberly J. Brown just knocked it out of the park, and they had to choose her for Marnie. She was just so good. Fun fact about her now, she has a TikTok. It's very popular.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to find her immediately after this.
And through her TikTok, I found out that she is engaged to Daniel Kuntz, who plays Cal in Halloweentown 2.
Cute.
It's so cute, and apparently they didn't date or have crushes on each other during the making of Halloweentown 2. They actually reconnected 10 to 15 years later after filming because Kimberly had a YouTube channel and she wanted him to come on.
Aww.
And they reconnected and they fell in love.
That's cute.
Yes.
I love that story.
Yes.
I was just looking him up. He's done a bunch of kind of oddball roles. Like he's done one-off, kind of one episodes on a bunch of TV shows. And it sounds like he's a voice actor. He's been the voice in a lot of video games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And I think she does a lot of voice acting now, too.
Oh, cool.
Also, she has her associate's degree in accounting.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, I saw a TikTok on this, I can't remember who did it, I'll try to find it, but the actors that don't make it huge, or yeah, the actors that don't make it huge, what do they do? Like, do you go back to like a day job, like a desk job? Do you teach acting? I don't know.
I think it just depends on if you still like it. Because sometimes I see them just going to school, getting real jobs. She has like an Etsy shop now. It's a Halloweentown Etsy shop.
Cute. That's funny.
Yeah.
And then I do think we get those people that just like really lean into the one thing they're known for, which I kind of love.
A lot of Hocus Pocus people did.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. It reminds me of like smaller time Tom Felton from Harry Potter.
Mhm.
Like I follow Tom Felton on Instagram, and like I think he just released a book that like uses magic in the title, and he talks about Draco all the time, like Harry Potter all the time. It's his whole personality, and I just think it's funny when actors and actresses do that, because I think a lot of them try to lean away, like the really successful ones try to lean away from the franchises that made them. Like, I'm thinking Rob Pattinson, Kristen Stewart,
Exactly
Daniel
what I was gonna say.
Radcliffe, Emma Watson. They all just
Yes.
kind of went, that's not who I am anymore.
Yeah.
But then sometimes people are just like, I got the bag from this. I'm leaning in for the rest of my life. And yeah, it's just funny.
And if they had a really good time playing that character and it means a lot to them, then that's awesome.
Totally.
And I know that Marnie meant a lot to Kimberly.
Yeah, I was really upset when they recast her.
Yeah, I think the world was upset. I think people are still upset about it.
And she was upset about it too, right?
Yeah, so apparently she was available. She was eager to play the role of Marnie in Halloweentown 4. And then they recast her as Sarah Paxton.
Why did they do that? Do we know?
She says when she talks about it that they just chose to go in a different direction. But in 2017, producer Sherry Singer said we could not come to terms that we felt were fair, which just makes me think that maybe she was asking for a lot of money or something for the fourth one because she carried this whole series. So I'm wondering if there's more there that we just haven't gotten.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to me.
But Sarah Paxton had just done Aquamarine, so she was big. So my thought was always that they chose Sarah Paxton because she was a more popular actress at the time.
Yep.
Then wouldn't she have cost more money?
You would think so. But if she's newer, they might be able to like get her for less, I guess, if she doesn't know her worth yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that they would recast the lead of a successful movie series on the last one to another actress that looks pretty similar and is also popular, you know? Like, it's not such a stupid example, but like in Blue's Clues, when they recast Steve for Joe, it was like, oh, it's his brother. Like, it's not him anymore. Like, why didn't they just make Sarah Paxton Sophie? And then this was a few years later when Sophie was older or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just seems weird to me that they would try to pass it like the same girl when it's super not.
And I just remember being upset because I would watch Halloweentown 4 and I'd be like, that's not Marnie. What happened?
Yeah.
So fans felt betrayed. And unfortunately, every year they still attack Sarah Paxton for this. It is not her fault that she chose to be in this movie.
That's sad. I was going to ask, I wonder how she feels.
She said that she was so excited when she got the role because she said she watched all the movies, she loved them. And she says, I get a lot of flack online for this movie. Like every Halloween, I prepare myself because I know that on Twitter and Instagram, there's going to be a lot of people hating on me, which is just sad.
That is sad because it's not her fault. That's such an awkward position to be in as an actor or actress because like you don't have any creative control over the project and it's a good opportunity. So that's tough. I wonder, I read something that said for the third Halloweentown, Marnie, when she was played by Kimberly Brown had a lot of creative input in the movie. Like, I wonder if the director of the third movie, like, really pulled her under her wing or something. And, you know, I know this happens a lot with TV shows that are long-standing. A lot of the actors will then try to get into directing and they'll direct an episode of the TV show or something. I wonder if that's kind of what was happening with her, or she's trying to progress in her career. And then maybe the creative team on the 4th movie was like, we don't want that. We just want her to be an actor. And she was not interested and she wanted more input and they didn't want that maybe.
That's a really good speculation.
Yeah, that's
because that makes sense.
Yeah, that's going to be my guess.
Interesting.
Or the money thing. It's always a money thing. So who knows?
But it's so funny that she plays the kind of, oh, I don't know why they didn't choose me, if that's the case, you know?
Yeah, that makes me think the fact that she's willing to be like, I was willing and able, gives sass, kind of. Deserved. But like, I almost feel like she would allude to if it was a money thing. Like not being paid her worth or her asking for her worth and the studio declining it and going with another actress feels like something that you could easily shade or like allude to. And it feels like she would do that. So it's weird that she didn't.
Yeah. So honestly, it could be that just the studio was like, we want the more popular actress right now.
Yeah.
It's still weird though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, should we talk about Aggie Cromwell, played by Debbie Reynolds?
Yes.
She is such a sweet little angel in this movie. I love her.
Yeah. She was actually the first person cast for this film.
Wow.
Which is great.
Once again, these Disney movies just pulling, like Julie Andrews, Bette Midler, Debbie Reynolds. Like, I'm trying to imagine being a mature actress that's very successful and very well known and being reached out to by the Disney Channel to be in their movie and then be like, yes, and it is a good career move for you, because it was for all these women that we just mentioned. That just is like, I don't think that's the place that Disney holds today. At least Disney Channel. I think they have other avenues. Like there's Disney Plus series that do well, where I do think that could still be true. But Disney Channel and this like kid lane, I just don't think exists the same anymore. Am I crazy?
No, I can't imagine any actors like this being in Disney movies now.
Like who is that today? Meryl Streep?
Jamie Lee Curtis? Was in Freaky Friday. Wasn't that a Disney movie?
Yeah, which was around the same time as this too. Jamie Lee Curtis was just a little bit younger, so.
But do they even make Disney Channel original movies anymore?
I doubt it.
So I think that's the differentiation. Like I could see them being in Disney movies, not Disney Channel original movies.
Yep, that's fair. I did read a very nice quote from the director of Halloweentown after Debbie Reynolds passed away. They said she's just very giving and wanted everybody to shine as brightly as they could. And everybody just referred to her as like such a light on set, which I think is so sweet.
Yeah, and all of the kid actors said that she treated them like peers, which I love.
That is so sweet. We hear a lot of quotes from the kids in all these movies, the kids, teens, young actors, about the older women in these movies. Like I'm thinking of the guy who played Max Dennison, talking about Bette Midler and her professionalism in Hocus Pocus. And I just think it's really sweet when older actors don't treat the kids like little kids. We heard this a lot from the Harry Potter kids too, like just the respect that everybody had for each other on set, and them being able to see these adults be so professional and do such a good job and be such good examples, I think is so cool.
Yeah, I love that. I thought this was really funny. Debbie Reynolds said that Halloweentown put her on the map with her granddaughter, who is Billie Lourd, and her friends.
That's so cute. This must happen all the time for famous people in Hollywood. Like, unless you're in a thing that your kid cares about, you are just nobody to them because you're their parent, you know? Yeah, but in case you didn't know, Debbie Reynolds' family is very famous. So Debbie Reynolds is the mother of
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, thank you, who plays Princess Leia. And Carrie Fisher is the mother of Billie Lourd, who is in all kinds of stuff. American Horror Story, Booksmart. She's been in the Star Wars movies. Famous ladies in the Reynolds, Fisher, Lourd fam. Is there anybody else that you really want to touch on in the cast? We touch on the two main girls, and everybody else we haven't seen a whole lot of.
The only thing that I really want to touch on is first, Judith Hoag plays Gwen Piper, and she looks like Jessica Chastain to me.
Ooh, I could see that. That's the mom in Halloweentown.
Yes, I have just always thought that I saw her in more things than I did. I didn't. It was Jessica Chastain that I was seeing. Judith Hoag was apparently in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And she was cast pretty early on because the producers of Halloweentown were a big fan of hers.
Cool.
And then Philip Van Dyke plays Luke. I didn't know this until yesterday. He plays Arnold in Hey Arnold.
Wow.
And he also played young Christopher in Gilmore Girls.
Okay. As I was watching this, I was convinced that he was Thackeray Binks.
He looks like him. Yeah.
They do look a lot alike. It's not the same actor, but.
That's funny.
Yeah, that is funny. I knew I had seen him in other stuff, but that's so interesting that he's Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
Funny. One quick thing on Judith Hoag also. Seeing her, especially at the beginning of the movie when they're like around the kitchen and stuff, she makes direct eye contact with the camera a handful of times.
She does?
Yes. And it's giving Claire from Modern Family. I don't know if you watch Modern Family.
A little bit.
Okay. The
She's the
mom
mom
in Modern Family is just like very sarcastic, and she's always giving like the look to the camera, like the can you believe this shit look. And Gwen, played by Judith, does that a lot in this movie too.
Was that intentional?
I don't know. So like in my on-camera acting classes, if you look at the camera, it's called spiking the lens, and you're not supposed to do it generally unless it's intentional. And so you would think no, because that's like literally the only place you're not supposed to look on set is like directly at the camera lens, unless it's like a House of Cards or a mockumentary or something where you are direct to camera. But it didn't happen again throughout the movie. It was only in those first few scenes, and it was really funny because you could tell she was like making eye contact with the parents watching this movie, of just like side eye to the kids. So I don't know. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was funny.
It wasn't her first acting job, so it makes me want to give her the benefit of the doubt that it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that idea of her looking at the parents like, come on, you know how I feel in this situation.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Certainly they liked it enough to keep it, to like use that take, so. Okay, let's get into the recap.
We open up the movie. It's Halloween. Kids are running around in costumes, trick-or-treating. There's the iconic music that's TikTok famous now that's playing. I love the Halloweentown music. And then we come to a house that's not decorated at all. And we see Marnie, who is arguing with her mom about going to a costume party. Marnie's mom does not let her celebrate Halloween. And there's this hilarious quote where she's like, "Mom, I'm 13. I'm practically a grown-up," which I love. Her mom says she's protecting the kids from the things about Halloween that they don't understand. Mm-hmm. And we meet her brother Dylan and her sister Sophie. And Dylan is just the cute little bookworm who takes his mom's side.
He's my favorite character in this.
He's like, yeah, Halloween is dangerous.
I love it. It's so cute. He's so cautious. This to me is giving Westboro Baptist Church. Like, the fact that I was just watching this and her being like, there's demons and it's dangerous to believe in magic and all this stuff. I was just like, this would have a very different undertone today.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, what did you think? What did you think about her raising them to just not celebrate Halloween at all?
I was actually thinking about it, and it was reminding me of a lot of people that I grew up with.
Why?
They like weren't allowed to read witchy books, and they were very sheltered, and Halloween was evil. So I was just thinking about that, and I was like, huh, that's interesting that that's the choice that she made, was to shelter them from Halloween. But I actually understand it completely because, as we will get into, she doesn't want her kids to turn into witches. And if they don't get trained as witches properly by the time they're 13 and reach their 13th Halloween, then their powers go away and they become mortals. So why would she expose them to something that might help them discover their powers early?
Yep, totally agree. At first, I was the same as you. I'm like, wow, this is giving the religious deep south where we're both from.
Yeah.
But I do get it because of what you said, for sure.
Interesting.
Sophie, to me, in this moment, she's looking out the window and she says, somebody's coming. And it's her grandma Aggie. Sophie is the smartest in this whole movie. Like, she is the one that's remembering the spells. She is the most magical one of all.
Yes, she's the youngest daughter. She's just a little thing.
Yeah.
And she's powerful.
Yes. So that was actually kind of funny to me watching this like as an adult. I'm watching the whole movie going, Marnie is one that desperately wants to be a witch, and her youngest little baby sister is just like over here doing spells, noticing stuff.
Without
just
even
smartest.
trying.
Yeah.
And Marnie's just the most outspoken and just the most desperate.
Trying the most. Yeah.
Which makes me really like the idea you had of having a Sophie spinoff where it's just Sophie.
Missed opportunity. Not to like linger on this, but I just think that it's just so weird. It's just so weird that they recast her in the fourth movie. Like, She was absolutely, if she did try to negotiate more because she carried the series, she would be right to do that because she was the lead for 3 movies straight.
Maybe they thought there were going to be 6 movies, and then the 4th one flopped because it wasn't the Marnie that we all knew and loved.
That is such a good point. That makes actually them recasting a, quote, more popular, like, it actress make more sense if they're like, we're going to switch this for the second half of the series, and then it just didn't work out.
Terrible choice on their part.
Yeah.
Although no hate for Sarah Paxton. I like Halloweentown 4, so.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Same.
Hot take, but, well, I haven't seen it in years, so I don't know, but.
I used to love them all, though. Okay, so back to Sophie. Sophie is still sitting there waiting for her grandma Aggie to come, and we see her powers for the first time because she wants a cookie. And so a cookie starts floating to her from the kitchen, and her mom has to grab it.
She's like, not again, and she like eats the cookie before it flies into Sophie's hand.
Yeah.
And Sophie's like, are you eating a cookie? After she just got told she can't have a cookie until after dinner.
Yeah.
Iconic.
In our screenwriting classes, we talk a lot about kind of like the showing the world as it is in the first like 10 minutes before the inciting incident happens. So I love when we see movies and we see creative ways that the writers are depicting what's normal for the family or what's normal for the characters, and it just like clues us into the world a little bit. And I thought this was such a funny, cute example of like, we can tell that possibly all the kids, definitely Sophie, probably Marnie, are displaying some sort of magic, and the mom's nervous about it. She's hiding it from them, and we immediately know that that's why they don't celebrate Halloween. And I just thought it was a really smart way to do that without having the characters speak that in dialogue.
Yeah, that's such a good point. This flying school bus appears, and Grandma Aggie comes out. She is full-on Miss Frizzle here. Coming out of her magic school bus, she's got this, like, starry cloak on.
It is giving Miss Frizzle, even her hair being up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she comes in, and the kids are so excited because she brings them candy and Halloween costumes, and she starts decorating their house for Halloween. And Gwen is not okay with this.
Mm-hmm. So she tells the kids about Halloweentown as she's, like, putting them to bed that night with this book, with this Halloweentown book. And that book is real. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can buy the book, I think.
Wait, really? I thought there were only a few copies of it.
Oh, are there?
Oh, well, I would love to buy the book.
Okay, no, I'm probably wrong on that.
No,
I just read that it was a
idea.
real book, so I assumed that meant you could buy it, but no.
I don't know.
Oh.
I know they made the book for the movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so Aggie is telling the kids about Halloweentown right after Gwen tells her, hey, you can go be with the kids, talk to them, but just don't tell them about your home.
Mm-hmm.
She does the complete opposite.
Yeah, does not care.
In the book, there's an illustration of a giant jack-o'-lantern in the Halloweentown square. We see all the creatures of Halloweentown. And then we flip to a page, and there's an illustration of a witch on a broom. And she looks like Marnie.
Mm-hmm.
And Marnie's like, yeah, wait, that is me.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't think that the illustration really looked that much like her, did you?
No, I did not pick up on that. I think what we're supposed to get from that is that Marnie is starting to pick up on the facade. Like, she's finally old enough where she's just like, what's going on here? And why are weird things happening? And this isn't just a coincidence. You know, we just see her growing up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Gwen comes in and obviously is like, you gotta go, Mom. And when Aggie leaves the kids, Marnie follows and is hiding and overhears them fighting about training Marnie as a witch. Which I'm just like, wow, way to blow the secret wide open immediately. Just arguing about it in the kitchen. And that's also where we learn that if she doesn't start training by her 13th Halloween, which by the way is today, she will lose her powers and become immortal. I can imagine Marnie is like hearing for the first time that she is special and something is different, and there's a reason she's always felt that way, and there's a reason her mom hid Halloween from them, and then to hear that she's probably going to lose that imminently, I'm sure is scary, and that's what makes her want to get on the bus.
And what I love about this realization for her is this whole time she's talking about how she loves Halloween, she loves weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of not like other girls because she likes weird things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she feels a little bit like an outsider. Her brother definitely makes fun of her for it. And then she has a reason to be like, oh, that's why I'm different.
Mm-hmm.
She has like a label for it. Also, I always wanted this to happen to me.
Oh, same. Oh, for sure, same.
I was
Between
like,
this and Harry Potter, I was like, when is my letter to Hogwarts coming? I want to be I think kids just want a reason to feel special, or they want an explanation for feeling different. And I think this movie gave that to a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So during this conversation between Gwen and Aggie alludes to something important in the movie, which is that something is going wrong in Halloweentown. Like, her neighbors are starting to act weird, and she wants Gwen to come back and help her. And Gwen obviously doesn't want to do that because she has made her home in the mortal world and doesn't want to go back to Halloweentown.
So Marnie runs upstairs to tell Dylan what she heard, and when they see Aggie leaving, they go after her and they sneak on the bus to Halloweentown.
I thought the scene was really cute when they get on the bus and then they look around and you just see from the kids' perspective, like down low in the bus, just these huge monsters, and it's nighttime on Halloween, and I just think it's funny. It's very spooky.
Yeah.
So the flying bus takes them to Halloweentown. Aggie gets off. We see Halloweentown for the first time, which is obviously my favorite part. We see the giant jack-o'-lantern in the town square. Everything looks very fall. It is absurdly bright in Halloweentown.
You're right.
I totally buy that they filmed this in the middle of summer. Because, like, that's always something that struck me. First of all, it's weird that they're flying in the middle of the night and they land, it's the middle of the day. But I know Halloweentown's supposed to be magical, but it is just like, woo, fluorescent.
Yeah, you would expect it to be a little creepier. I bet you that was a choice because they were like, we need this to not scare kids. We need this to be light.
Yeah.
But I want a dark, scary Halloweentown.
Me too.
I want the blue Twilight filter on over this.
Yes, exactly. I want it to feel moody, especially because we do see, like, as a kid, they were very scary monsters. Now I'm like, it's just kind of weird, but we see these like creepy people walking around. So like, why isn't it gloomy out? I think it would just like be a better setting because it's a little bit jarring when the kids get off the bus and you just see like goblins and ghouls and witches against bright sunshine, daylight, blue sky, white puffy clouds, you know? It's weird.
I think that kind of goes with the whole theme of the movie though, which is to not judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And so we see that they're just like everybody else. They're just walking around. They're nice.
You're totally right. And Aggie runs into her friend Harriet, which is going to be important shortly. And they just have like a nice neighborly chat. And the kids find Sophie.
She snuck on the bus with them. And she's very perceptive. She notices that the jack-o'-lantern in the square looks different than it did in the Halloweentown book that Aggie read them. And she says that's because of the bad thing. Which they're like, how do you even know about the bad thing? And she was like, I was pretending to be asleep.
Justice for Sophie. Does Sophie ever come back in the other movies?
She might be in the second one, or was she not in the second one?
She might be in the second one. I read that the only characters that did the first three, all three of the like original cast movies were Gwen, Dylan, Marnie, and Aggie comes in for like a scene in the third one.
I remember in one of the movies, they write it off that she's doing like her witch training or something. And that's why she's not in the movie.
Yeah.
But I loved her.
See, like they didn't recast her.
Weird.
Okay, sorry, I'm over
it. I'm not over it.
Okay, and then we meet the mayor, a warlock named Calabar.
He's very charming.
Mm-hmm. Those ringlets.
His acting does the most, honestly.
The most.
Apparently, he took it very seriously, which I love.
I absolutely believe that.
And I think he did a great job. I love his acting in it.
Yeah. And the mayor agrees to help them get back to their grandma's house and calls them a cab, and they meet Benny, the skeleton cab driver.
A comedian.
Who is a robot, actually.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. The kid said that they were acting with a robot that was just making like whirring noises the whole time, and then they dubbed the voice over in editing.
Wow.
Which props to the kids. Like, kids are such good actors. They have such good imaginations.
While they're driving, Benny warns them about unsavory characters in town, and they pass Luke, who's this punk kid that Benny says thinks he's a big shot because he got a nose job and some warts removed. And he claims that some shadow creature did it to him.
It's good foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids get to Grandma Aggie's house, and she's there making a potion, and she's surprised, but not that surprised to see the kids, which was kind of interesting. Like, for this being their first time ever in Halloweentown and visiting their grandma, it was not like a, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? Like, the reaction was kind of funny, but she does agree to start Marnie's training and says that she needs help taking care of the bad thing.
Yeah, in her cauldron, a hooded monster appears laughing. So that's our first picture of the bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she says she's going to use Merlin's talisman to defeat the bad thing. But first, she has to brew a potion to make it work. and they need the hair of a werewolf, the fang of a vampire, and the sweat of a ghost.
So they head into town to get all the ingredients, where they run into Harriet again, who is the one that Aggie had a friendly conversation with right when they got to Halloweentown. And Harriet is completely different. Like, she looks different. It's almost like she turned like wild animal version of herself.
Scary.
Yeah, scary. She's like hissing. It's really weird. So Aggie goes to Calabar to get his help because he's the mayor. And he says, basically like, I totally get it. I think you're completely right. Here's what I need you to do. Stay out of it. Red flag.
The reddest of flags. Watching it as an adult, I was like, oh, obviously.
He's a bad guy for sure. But it was shocking to me as a kid.
Shocking, absolutely. Because he's so charming.
Yeah.
They go to a broom shop, Aggie and the kids, which these brooms are giving Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of them is named like the Windsweeper 5000 or something like that. I was like, oh.
I know where you got that idea.
Well, and then I was like, which one came first? And I looked, and the first Harry Potter book came out right before this movie when it was filming. So I'm thinking Halloweentown did the brooms first.
Maybe.
But maybe there's another reference that is older that both of us are missing, that they both got it from.
Could be, yeah. Or they just tweaked the like production script. Like, there are usually writers on set to like tweak things based on feedback from the actors, the director. If something's not working in real time, they'll rewrite pages. So I wonder if that was like somebody came to work and Harry Potter just came out and it was all everyone was talking about in the media. And they were like, oh my gosh, what if we put a reference in here or something?
Yeah. Steal like an artist.
Yeah.
Luke shows up to the little broom stand. It's not really a shop, I guess. It's kind of outdoors.
Mm-hmm. And he's such a little jerk.
Yeah. He asks to show Marnie around or buy her an ice cream, but he's like too big for his britches. Like, he's got a big ego.
She rejects him, and he makes some comment about how they ought to be nice to him because he's friends with some powerful creatures, which again, just foreshadowing.
And then Aggie and Marnie have this wonderful flying scene where they fly her broom, her new broom that she got. And that was the last scene that they filmed of the whole movie.
Interesting.
And Kimberly J. Brown talks about it as being the most special part of the movie that she filmed because it was her only scene alone with Debbie Reynolds. It took them a whole day to film it. They were on this like stool in front of a blue screen. But yeah, she said it was just such a good special time with Debbie.
That's so sweet. Okay, so then who shows up in Halloweentown?
Gwen.
Mama.
Because she found out that the kids were missing and immediately knows who is to blame.
Of course. She immediately wants to go home, obviously, so she's trying to get a bus. There isn't one. And then she runs into Calabar, the mayor, aka her ex-boyfriend, which is kind of a hilarious twist for the adults in the room.
Wild.
Yeah.
And Calabar says that he'll help them get home, but first he has an urgent message that he has to attend to.
Sort of simultaneously, Aggie runs into Luke. He basically alludes to the fact that he knows who's causing all of the bad things to happen in town and says that that person wants Merlin's talisman. Which, when you put this scene right after the scene where Calabar is like, I have an urgent message to deliver, it's clear. It's so clear what's going on.
Yeah, and Luke is like, he wants to reveal himself to you. So Aggie follows him.
They go to the movie theater, and this movie theater scene was terrifying to me as a child. How about you?
Oh, yeah, so scary.
Also, why was it a movie theater? It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Gwen and the kids see Aggie and Luke walking into the movie theater, so they follow them. And in the movie theater,
horror scene.
The creatures are just frozen like statues with cobwebs on them and stuff.
And as they're sitting in the movie theater, Calabar comes up like on the screen to talk to them, but it is like he's there in real life. I don't know. And he freezes Aggie and Gwen, which even today, like when I was watching this, because I haven't seen it in a long time, when this happened, I was just like, they're toast. I was like, I can't remember how they get out of this, but it's going to be really hard.
I find it interesting. I actually realize now why it's in the movie theater, because Calabar, we're just spoiling the movie, the bad thing is only able to be in the dark. He can't be in sunlight.
Got it.
So I guess in that form, he just can't.
Yep, that does make sense. Okay, so the kids narrowly escape after their mom and grandma are frozen, and they know that they have to go make this potion to make Merlin's talisman work. So they go to find the ingredients.
Which kudos to Marnie, because she is just so brave. And she's just determined to do all of this scary stuff. To brew a potion that she doesn't even know how to do. She hasn't been trained as a witch.
Yeah.
And they go and get the hair of a werewolf.
From a barbershop. Which is a cute and funny scene. Marnie distracts the hairdresser who's a werewolf, and Dylan shaves off the back of his head.
Yes, and there's a hairdryer that's a flamethrower, which I think is hilarious.
Which is in real life. It was really a spitting fire.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because they didn't have the technology to do the CGI for it
You're
yet.
right, and the budget. Dangerous.
Yeah.
Wow.
They also need the sweat of a ghost, so they go to like a sauna room in a gym. It's very weird. I've never seen anything like that in real life. And they collect some sweat from a ghost.
By offending the ghost.
Yeah.
Sophie is making like moaning ghost noises, and he's like, this is very offensive.
And then the fang of a vampire, they go to a dentist.
This is the scene that bothers me the most.
Why?
Because maybe it's because my TV it just shows this very clearly now compared to the little TV I had as a kid watching this on. But the dentist pulls out the fang of a vampire, and you just see her painted shiny black tooth staring back at you. And you're like, I know you didn't just pull her tooth because I see her tooth. I hate it. But they get the fang of the vampire that they need. And on their way back to Aggie's house, Benny shows up with his cab, and he tries to get them to come into his cab, but Sophie, the best witch of all time, can tell that he has the bad thing in him.
Yeah, he's acting creepy. So thankfully they don't take him up on it. They get home and they brew the potion, but Marty can't remember the spell. But once again, Sophie saves the day. Sophie remembers the spell.
She should be the lead of this movie.
I know. And they get the talisman to light up.
So they feel like they're successful. They go back to the movie theater with the talisman, but it doesn't work. And then Marnie remembers that her grandma said something about having to install it, and that mortal traditions are just imitations of Halloweentown traditions. So she gets the idea that she needs to put the talisman in the town square jack-o'-lantern.
To light it up.
My mind would have never gone there, by the way.
No. I was watching this and I was like, the hoops that you need to jump through to make that conclusion, it's correct, but like, I don't know how she got there. While she's going to install the talisman, Luke cuts her off. Luke intercepts it and totally cops to everything. He says that it's a trap and that she shouldn't go over there. And sure enough, the quote bad thing appears over City Hall, and it's this like warlock in like a flying black cloak. It's very creepy looking. And he reveals himself as Calabar.
Yes, and he says he wants to stop being exiled from the mortal world to Halloweentown, and he wants to reclaim the mortal world.
So he basically wants to break the portal and go back into the human world as themselves.
Marnie runs through the crowd in her grandma's cloak, and Calabar zaps her to the ground. And it's revealed that it is
Luke.
Yes.
Luke was helping by wearing Marnie's cloak to distract Calabar.
Redeeming himself.
Yeah.
After being such a jerk. And during this diversion, Marnie climbs on top of the pumpkin and drops the talisman in.
After she drops the talisman in and it activates the pumpkin, all of the frozen creatures in the movie theater unfreeze, including Gwen and Aggie. So yay.
Calabar basically tells Gwen that he's butthurt, that she chose a mortal over him.
Yes.
And that's his motivation for being evil.
Which is interesting, because they haven't seen each other in, probably 15 plus years. This is like his high school girlfriend, that he's like, we must invade the mortal world so that I can go, I don't know, kill Gwen's husband, who's already dead.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, Calabar is an incel.
Yeah. The OG incel. Oh, and a very exciting thing happens while this is going on, which is that Marnie looks down at Dylan and his hands have little, like, electricity coming out of them, which means he's a warlock too, and I forgot about this part.
Which, of course, he does not want to be. He's like, no, I am a human. I am normal.
It's like static electricity, sorry.
Calabar gets the talisman, and they need to get it back from him. So all the Cromwells band together and use their combined magic to get it back and defeat Calabar.
And they do.
Yes, everyone celebrates. They zap him into oblivion. Marnie goes to check on Luke, and it's revealed that he is a goblin. We see his true form. He's got a big nose, big ears.
A little lumpy and bumpy. He's obviously embarrassed, and We learn that he was helping Calabar, which, side note, what an interesting choice for your sidekick to be this little goblin boy. But he was doing it so that he could be in his like cute human-looking boy form.
And he's like, I realize that that's worse than being under the control of Calabar because I just willingly chose just to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And Marnie kisses him on the cheek. She does not care what he looks like, which I always loved about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really just think that's like driving the point home is to just be yourself. That is this movie's theme.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And so in the celebration, Gwen asks Aggie to come live with them in the mortal world. It was very sweet.
And we think that Aggie is going to complete Marnie's training, but actually Gwen says, no, I'm going to do your training, which is perfect.
Yeah. And then they take the bus back.
They do. And that crowd full of random extras waves them goodbye.
Yeah.
There was an alternate ending for this, though, that I thought was really interesting and a lot darker.
Very dark.
So instead of having to drop the talisman in the jack-o'-lantern, Marnie was going to have to take it into this forest that aged you the further you got into it. And so they actually made a mold of Kimberly J. Brown's face so that they could make masks that would age her up. But then they decided to cut it. I think it was probably just too dark. And it probably cost a lot of money to do that, too. So
yeah,
they cut it.
Very dark. Like with every step, she was getting older and older, and that is creepy. That would have been very out of place with the tone that this movie ended up with. That's
in our dream adult version of this movie.
Yeah, in the HBO series.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed another installment of our Halloween October movies. It was really fun to watch this one.
I loved watching this again. It was just such a good nostalgic movie for me.
Mm-hmm. It really makes me want to watch all of them. Like, I know that I said that it was kind of kiddie, but now I'm like, I gotta see Halloweentown High.
Yeah.
I gotta see it again.
When you just release the feeling that this has to be a good movie that still is good to you today, and you just like dive into the fact that like, oh my gosh, these are my favorite characters from when I was little. And I only saw them once a year on Disney Channel.
You know what these movies would be great for? If you have a kitchen where you can see the TV from your kitchen, if you put it on and like have a glass of wine and make some dinner this weekend, this would be the vibe.
Yeah, you don't have to pay attention to every part of it, especially after we spoiled the whole thing for you.
Right. But I think just having it on and like it's cold today where we live, it just like has put me in such the Halloween like fall spirit, which is great because I'm a big summer girl, spring summer girl. I like when it's warm, and this has really helped soothe me into the season.
One of my favorite things to do is if I need to get work done and it's nighttime, is to pop on the Disney Channel original Halloween movies. Like Twitches, this, the rest of the series, and then just get my work done while watching that in the background.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Well, don't forget about our review challenge. If you liked this episode, please leave us a 5-star rating and a review on the Apple Podcast app. And then if you shoot us a screenshot of it on Instagram at WhatWe'reWatchingPod, we will deep dive away and come up with a movie recommendation that we think suits your vibe.
Yay, I love that.
Yeah, it's been really fun so far.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.